What's going on YouTube? This is going to be a quick update video on the Tahoe. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. I went ahead and put on the hood. So as you can see, you can kind of see it right over here. So I did go ahead and put on the original hood of the Tahoe back on because I had it on the Silverado, but right now the Silverado is down, so I went ahead and just swapped it over because it is raining and you know it's gonna get wet. So I went ahead and just put it on right there. And I had already forgot like how it looks with the hood, but I do want to change it to a different hood, but this will work for now, you know, since I have to drive it, and if it rains, you know, I don't want it to like, you know, get wet in the engine or anything like that. So over here in the garage, I went ahead and pulled in the Silverado, and I'm gonna start, you know, working on her, but I haven't had a chance. So I just went ahead, like I said, took the hood off and put it back on the Tahoe. And right now I just have it on a trickle charger because, you know, it's just sitting on here. So I'm gonna just, you know, maintain the battery. So the truck started leaking fuel from the back over here, and I believe it's just the lines, either the fittings or something, you know, that's messed up in that area because they are aftermarket. I did them a long time ago, and you know, I went ahead and changed out the intake up here. So it's from the 07 and up, and the truck is a 2000. So I had to redo the lines. So one line from here, and then there's two lines going back here, which are, like I said, aftermarket. And I had the fuel lines like this for like 3 or 4 years, so they were all good, and it was my first time doing it, so I think it wasn't too bad overall, but I just got to figure out what's wrong with it and then, you know, just put it back together. But I'm gonna go on the other side and see if I can show you a little bit of the lines. All right guys, so this is a better view at the lines right here. You can kind of see they're aftermarket, and I was checking it out. So it actually turns out that the line is busted. It's not the actual connection, so that's pretty good. And I'm gonna just go ahead and order those lines and redo them over again. So I just went ahead and removed the tires and jacked up the rear of the truck so I can get to the lines and figure out what was wrong with them. And you know, it does turn out that it was the line, so the line was leaking, and I was able to catch it in a slow motion with the camera. I'll have it, you know, right here so you guys can check it out. But it was leaking a lot of fluid out of one of the lines, so I'm just thinking of replacing all of them right there at the same time so they can be the same age, because I don't want two older lines and then, you know, one newer one, because if that one busted, you know, this one or the other one might bust as well at the same time. Either the material was bad or something was going on right there. But I'm glad that it wasn't the connection that I did, because, you know, that was the first time doing it, and I think it was pretty good, you know, because it's been like 3 or 4 years like that, and it's the actual line that busted right there. So for today, I'll just leave the Silverado alone, and I'm gonna just order those lines. So I'm waiting on them right now, and I'll just show you guys on the Tahoe right now how I was doing the alarm install, because it was a pretty big install, and you know, there's a lot of wiring right there. But I'll try to get some of that on camera right here, and I'll show you guys a little bit, since, you know, it's not like super easy to do because it is like a lot of wiring, and also, you know, there's a lot of different things you got to do to the alarm. So here's just a quick view of the alarm I'm installing in the Tahoe. So I got the T13 for remote setup right here, and then the, you know, remote start system, the wiring for the alarm kit, the high current wiring because it's not a T-harness, and then the shock sensor or security sensor. All right guys, so I just finished up prepping the alarm, and I'm just gonna show you real quick before I start putting it in, because, you know, it is kind of complicated. It's a lot of wiring, but this is pretty much what it looks like all cleaned up. So, you know, the brain is there, and then everything is all loomed up and closed up in this area, and you know, the wiring is all ready to go. So whatever I have to adjust or cut or lengthen up, then I'll do that, but for now, these are pretty good. And I also do have some of the wiring right here for later on that I'm not using today, but maybe if I want to add like a voice module or, you know, different auxiliary outputs, I'll just have those ready to go instead of, you know, messing around with the brain over there, which is going to be harder once it's all like installed. And then these are just, you know, the shock sensor and then that drone module. So those are just like plug and play. They just got to be like ran and stuff like that. So that's what the alarm is looking like. And I already also have the antenna hooked up, so it's just right here. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but this antenna is actually pretty big, and it's because it's a long range. It's like a 3-mile range antenna, so I'm gonna have to test it out and see how that works out right there. And for the wiring to look like this, it did take me a couple hours because I wanted to make sure that everything was looking good and didn't want to have a mess, you know, under the dash right here, because I've had like, you know, cars where alarms are being installed and then there's like a whole bundle of wires and you don't know what's going on right there. So I think this makes it, you know, pretty simple or clean to work under the dash, and that way you don't get confused whenever you're messing with it, because you know it gets like real confusing real quick. So the longer I take on the prep work right here, it makes the installation much easier because everything gets condensed, and you know what everything is, instead of like guessing around with a bundle of wires. I'd rather take a long time prepping the alarm. That way it's gonna make it easier on me later on installing it, and also any troubleshoots or anything like that, versus having like a bundle of wires under the dash, and then when something goes wrong, then I won't be able to figure it out, or it'll take a long time, and you don't want this under your dash. Like, this is just a bundle of wires, but this is just an example of like how it can look, because once everything is just in there and not cleaned up, then you don't even know what's going on up in here or what wire goes where, and it gets really confusing right there. So it's better to prep the alarms and then put them in. That way you get everything condensed and you have no issues down the line with troubleshoots or the system working right there. So that's just the way that I like to prep them, and I'll go ahead and start taking my dash apart and putting it back in there. All right, I got my dash off right here, and let's just take a quick look at how it looks before the alarm. So this is just a stock view right here without no alarm or anything like that. So once I put this in right here, it should pretty much blend in, and that's what we're going for right there. So all stock right here, it looks pretty bare, not much going on, only the wiring on the BCM right here. So whenever I put this in, it should still look pretty stock, since I condensed all the wiring and loomed it all up, so it shouldn't really get in the way. And also this should go back in place. So let me go ahead and start wiring it up, and I'll try to show you guys after how it looks versus right now. All right guys, so I'm done with the alarm, and as you guys can see, it still looks pretty stock. So you can just see a little bit of the wiring right here, which I'll probably just end up covering up right now. But overall, the bracing was in place, and I didn't have to remove it. So the bolts are there, and I can still maintenance right here if I have to, or if I have to add any other wiring, I still have all this extra space, which is what I wanted. So I'll just go ahead and put it back together and test it out. All right, so I went ahead and put it all back together, and the alarm is already set and done. So later on, I may add other features like a voice module or something like that, but for now, I'll just use the stock settings that came with it. The basic, power lock, unlock, the security with the shock sensor, and it also does have like a tilt sensor, which is pretty cool on that shock sensor right there. So I'll go ahead and test out the alarm real quick right here. And the one that I got is a Compustar, so it's a T13 Pro, and this is what the remote looks like. So you just press on here and it'll wake up the remote, so you can kind of see the car. It looks better at night. I'm not sure if it's picking it up right here, but it's like a darker image. So this system is a security and remote start, so I'll just go ahead and lock it right here. You can kind of see right there. It also folds the mirrors, so that's pretty cool. And then it still works with the factory alarm as well. And for remote start, you're just pressing in the middle right here, just press and hold, and it should start the truck right there. It's like a 15-minute runtime. So the remote looks a little bit better at night, but right now it's because the glare of the sun and stuff, so it looks pretty dark. But it runs like 15 minutes, or you can probably have it longer if you want to program it longer. And also it can be shut off from right here. So just holding it, and that'll turn it off. And another cool feature on this that it has is this proximity sensor right here. So whenever you get close to the truck, it'll open up kind of like the new trucks or cars, where you don't have to like press the unlock button in case you have something in your hand. So proximity, that's on right there. And I'll go ahead and exit out, and I'm gonna step back and see if it'll do it right now. So I'll go ahead and try out the proximity. As soon as you get close enough, it should unlock it even if I don't press on this. So let's see how close I have to get to for it to unlock. All right, so there you go. As you can see, it went ahead and unlocked it. So like I said, it's just an extra feature that comes on it, so it's pretty cool. I might not use it that much, but if I decide not to, I can also turn it off from right here, because I did notice whenever you have it on, it does kind of drain the battery a little bit more on the remote right here, which is rechargeable. So it's not too bad at all, but it's just an extra feature right there. So now the Tahoe finally has an alarm, which usually I like to do very early. So whenever I purchase the trucks, I like to put the alarms on first, because a lot of people like to break in them, and also it's easier to have them with an alarm as far as like keyless entry and all that, because the original ones usually don't have a far range. But aftermarket, like this one right here has like up to a 3-mile range. Some of them have 1 mile, which is always better. And also with the remote start, in case whenever it gets real hot, I like to put the AC on, or on winter the heater right there. But you guys let me know what you think on the setup right there. And next time I'll just try to do a little bit more in-depth review of the alarm right here for the Tahoe. But for now, that'll be it. And also, if this video helped you out or you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. We're gone.